So this is where we stopped it. Oh, I'm not sharing. Oops, sorry. Okay. There we go. So this is where we basically stopped yesterday, and I'm just going to give you it's not even going to be 5 minutes. It's going to be 2 minutes. When we started, we created the table by clicking on create, and then we went to table design. And in table design, we selected our field names and our data types. Let me quickly do it with this one. And I still explained each and every data type with you, and you must definitely go and watch the video. Okay. So at the end, we selected a primary key, and in this case, we chose this one. And I still explained to you guys that a primary key cannot be a value that has duplicates. In other words, anything that can be the same as anything else. For example, a description cannot be a good primary key because I may have a golf t-shirt and there may be another golf t-shirt, but the supplier is different. So that cannot be the same. Also, your name is, for example, not a good example of a primary key because I am Marie, and I'm pretty sure I actually know so many Marys. So not a good example of something that cannot be a duplicate. So in this specific exercise, the item number is unique, and there is one item, and each item has its own number, and that number belongs to that item only. And that is why that is a good choice. If you had ID number in here, that would have been a good choice. If you had passport number, that would have been a good choice. Cell phone number, definitely not, because I still explained to you that cell phone numbers gets recycled, and if you cancel your contract or something like that, your cell phone number will probably be recycled and given to someone else. So it's not going to be a good example. So then we said, okay, after we've designed our table in table design, we are ready to continue, and this is where you can find all your objects. A table is an object, and the more things we create, the more things will be added to that list. And when you double click on your table, we started and we entered these things. And the very last instruction, or not that, but instruction 3, the last thing we did in the video, was we created a list or a lookup list for the supplier code field, and the supplier code being this one here. And you can see there's a little list arrow, and I've created 3 entries. You don't have to worry if you didn't understand anything in this first lesson, because in the second class participation we're going to do it again and again and again. So don't be distressed. I still explain to you that this little table or click to add is just something that is allowing you to do something on the go. It's definitely not something I use, so I always close it. But for some reason, even though I always close it, it's still open again when I open my table again. So can't get rid of it. There's also a couple of things that one can do to make your table look a little bit nicer. For example, exactly as in Word and in Excel, you can actually center certain things. For example, numbers can be centered like this. Supplier codes, all sorts of things can be centered, aligned. Things can be changed, colors can be changed. You can see over here, you can also change different column, things like that. That is something that you can do on your own, play with, and so on and so on. But it's important that you at least have your table functional. Okay, so here we have the table. I think it has 15 entries, I think. Okay, so we are ready now to continue with our queries. So while this screen is open, let me quickly explain to you what a query is. A query is a question, and I'm sure you guys have heard that many times before. For example, you phone Vodacom, I'm here to query my phone bill. Okay, that is basically, I have a question with regards to my phone bill. So a query is definitely just simply a question you ask about the data. Now, it's very important that you first have a table before you do queries. So in the exam, you cannot skip questions. You have to start with the first question and work your way through with Access specifically. So without a table, honestly, you can do nothing in Access. You definitely need this table. So when we do queries, we have to read the query very, very carefully. And when we read queries, we have to make sure that we don't miss anything. And we have to also make very sure that the specifications or the restrictions or things in the query we identify on our on here when we enter the details. Okay, so you guys are going to go into your exam with a pencil or a pen, and so it's also always good to read your query, underline the certain things that they require, and then circle or do anything you like to make sure that you don't miss anything with a specific query. So without further ado, let us jump into queries. When we do queries, your table can be open or it can be closed. For me, I like to close it. And remember, I always close it with the small x, not the big X. This will close access. Now, some of you may ask me, how do I save this stuff? Because I feel like I'm doing all these things. What if it gets lost? You can, this actually saves automatically. Okay. I hear stuff. I'm wondering if it's me. Okay, so do you want to save it?
Maybe 3,000.
Okay.
And Lisa, your mic is on.
Someone's mic is on. Okay. Okay, guys. So let's go and go to our first query. So once again, you go to create. Remember, you always go to create. And for create, like I said yesterday, actually Tuesday, we don't use these two. We only use table design. So when we go to queries, we also only use query design. You will see there's a query wizard, but that is something you will probably only use if you ever decide to do anything else in Access. So query design is the one that we're going to use. Okay, so I'm going to click on this query box and I'm going to walk you through this query. Okay, so we are querying from a table, and here you can see three choices: tables, queries, or both. Now at the moment we haven't got any other queries to query from, so we're not using this one, and the only thing we have is a table. Okay, so make sure items is selected and then click on add. So here they've added your table, not everything in your table, basically just that design stage content that we had in table design. Okay, so here we have our table, basically the skeleton of our table, if I want to call it that. So since I have no other tables to use, I can simply close this box. Okay. So you will see this is looks like a text box more or less, and you can actually enlarge this box to show all fields. When I say fields, I mean columns. In Access, we call a column a field. Okay, so here I can see all my different fields. Okay, now we're ready to read the query. So the query says, create, and this is there on Google Classroom, but I'm not opening Yuletide, so let's just read. Create a query for the item table. Okay, here we have the item table. That includes the item number, description, wholesale price, and supplier code fields for all records where the supplier code is SD. Okay, so this actually is a very easy query. It tells you exactly what you must select, and then there's a little bit of a criteria here as well. So I'm reading again and then I'm doing as I'm reading. Create a query for the item table. Here I have my item table. That includes item number. Okay. How do I get item number here at the bottom? Very easy. You double click on it. When you double click on it, item number jumps into the first column, if you want to call it that. Also include description. So now I'm double clicking on description. Also include wholesale price. So I'm double clicking on wholesale price, and include supplier code. Okay, so now I've done the first part of this query. Actually, the second part. The first part is choosing the table. The second part is adding the fields here that they require me to add. But now there's some criteria to the one field. Now it says for the supplier code fields for all records where the supplier code is SD. So when you look at this specific one, there's some criteria only for this field. Okay, so we are looking for all the items supplied by supplier code SD. We don't want all the records. We only want the records of those items supplied by SD. Now you go to the criteria line and you can see criteria here on the side, and you just take your mouse and you follow along until you get here, and then you say SD. Okay, when you press out of it, you will see little quotation marks inserted automatically. We did not insert that. If you inserted quotations there, it wouldn't be a problem, but you didn't have to. So I'm selecting my criteria, or actually I'm typing my criteria. So this whole query is going to read like this. Give me a list of all the items and their prices and descriptions for the supplier SD, whoever that is. Not sure what SD stands for. Okay. Now, what's nice about a query is you can actually do a test run on a query if you like. And you will see here at the end there is a run button that looks like an exclamation. And when you click on the run button, it will show you or give you an idea of how it is going to look. Okay. Now, if you look here, this by pressing the run button, I saw, okay, I've got supplier code SD. In total, there were 4 items. Okay, so it looks like everything worked out fine. I did not get an error code. Item number is displaying, description is displaying, price is displaying, and the supplier code is displaying. So this query worked out very well, and I'm ready to save it. And here you can see it says save this query as query 1. So that is something you need to do now. You're going to take this mouse, close it first, because it always saves when you close. So I'm closing this, and then it's going to ask me, do you want to save the changes to this query? And then you will say yes. And according to the instruction, we are saving it as query 1. It is query 1 already. Now, this is just something that I've done in the past few years, and I'm going to just do it with you as well. Supplier SD. I'm just adding the criteria in here in my save box, because later on you're not going to know what on earth you're querying. So sometimes it's good advice to just insert a short name or a short description in the name about what the query is. Okay. So I'm saving it, and now as you can see on the side we have our second object now, which is our first query. Okay. So if you ever wanted to open your query, you can open it here by double clicking on it. And if you ever wanted to make changes to this query, let's say you now want to search something else or whatever, you will simply go to this ruler, triangle, and pencil, and you will be back where you were when you designed this query. So always remember that you can go all back and forth the whole time. Just make sure that you save. Okay, so this query worked out well. I saved it, I named it, and I'm ready to continue with my next query. Okay. Now the next query is create a query for the item table. Okay, so once again, I'm going to go and create for the item table. So you will select create on the menu bar, and you will go to query design, and in query design it says select the item table. It's all we have. Okay. Like I said, you can actually query a query as well, but in this case we are not. So just click on add and close. I always open it just to make sure that I don't miss anything, or that I don't stress if I don't see anything. So I'm just dragging it out so that I can see everything. Alright, so that is the first part done. Create a query with the item table that includes the item number. So here we go again. Includes the item number, description, for all items where the description starts with C. Okay. So this is an interesting one because a lot of people don't know or forget how to do this. So how should I now write that starts with or whatever? You actually do it like this. You type like and you say C. So if you say like C, it's going to give you all the descriptions that starts with a C. So let's just see if it's running correctly. Oh, it didn't work. So I'm thinking I forgot something. Let's try just C. No, it's definitely like C. I just think, is it a star? Okay, let's try this one. No. Okay, I definitely forgot how to do this. Like, it is like C. Okay, guys, I'm going to have to get back to you on this one. So, let's put this one on the ice quickly. Equal sign C? You can't believe that I'm not getting... Unless something changed in the program. Is there a C anywhere? Yeah, there is a cotton visor. It should work. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save my query. Is there someone who passed me? No. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save my query and then I'm going to just quickly research it, go to help or something like that. There's something else I want to do. I just quickly want to do it. Save it, query 2. Okay, I'm just going to try something else quickly. Okay, that was it. The stories behind the sea. Okay, so if you want to find something that starts with a certain letter, it's like C, if that is the letter that it starts with, and then you put an asterisk or a star, which is 8, shift 8. Okay, I knew there was something I'm missing here. Okay, so this query specifically said for all items where the description starts with C. So if it was an M, if it was any other letter, you would have said like that letter and star or asterisk. Okay, sure, I'm so relieved. Okay, so I'm running it and it's working. So we can just close it and save it. Okay, so we're done with the second query. So now we can go to the third one. Create a query for the item table. So once again, I will go to create, query design. I'll add the item table and I'll close the box. I'll enlarge my list and then I'm ready to continue. Create a query for the item table that includes the item number. Okay, so I double click item number and description for all items with a base cost. Okay, so we're looking at base cost greater than 10 Rand. Okay. So we have item number and description. Now look at this specifically. It didn't specifically say add base cost, but of course the criteria is there for the base cost greater than 10. So you have to obviously add base cost in order to insert your criteria. And once again, you follow along until you get here, which is in the criteria row, and then you will just say greater than 10. So you know the greater than sign, 10. And let's see if it works. And here you have all the base costs that items that are more than 10 Rand. Okay, so very easy. You just make sure you go to the base cost and it says greater than 10. So you will just insert a greater than and a 10. So once again, we are ready to save this query and we will say yes, and this will be query 3. And this is going to be base cost greater than 10. Okay. So we are almost there. I think there are 5 queries. So we have done 3 already. Okay. so the next query says create a query for the item table. So once again, we will click on query, query design, add the item table, close. Okay, so now we just listen and now we just read the list of stuff we need to add. So it says includes the item number, the description, and the wholesale price for all items with a wholesale price between 1 and 4. Okay, there's actually two ways you can do this. So it is, did I have to add the item? Well, I had to add the item number, yep, as well. Item number, description, and wholesale price. Okay, there we go. And the wholesale price is between 1 and 4. Okay, so it is going to the wholesale price in the criteria low. So it is going to be greater than 1 and less than 4. Okay, I just want to see if I should have said between. Okay, no, you didn't have to say between. So in this case, you just had to use the word and. So it is greater than 1 and less than 4. Let's just see if it is right. It's greater than 1 and it is less than 4. Yes. So if they give you a specific criteria that is something like that, I think you could have used between also. But I'm not sure. This one is the one I know. So let's leave it like this. So it displays these three things that we needed to add, and this is the criteria, and we are ready to save, and we will save this as query 4. Okay, wholesale between 1 and 4. So as you can see, that's not the name that they actually said we should call it, but this is just for us to know later on that this is what it is. Okay, so we're ready to go to our very last one, and the last one says create a query. So once again, we'll say create query design, add the table. Okay. That includes the item number, the description, on hand, and wholesale price for all items where the number on hand is less than 100. Okay, so here we have two criteria. So the on hand is less than 100. So on hand and wholesale price where the items on hand is less than 100 and the wholesale price is less than 3. So here we go to wholesale price and this is less than 3. So in this case we have two fields that has criteria, and in this case we only have 2. So this query worked well. We can save it, and we will save it as query 5. What is it on hand? And the other one is less than 3 rand. Okay, so here we have all our queries now, and you can also enlarge this so that you can see better like that. Okay, so this is the queries, but since we have only one last thing to do, I'm going to show you how to do an auto report and an auto form, which is actually so easy. Okay, so in this case, or for this module, you don't need to do anything other than an auto form and an auto report. And the word auto also indicates automatic. And that's exactly what it is. So with your items table selected, not even open, make just sure it's pink, or like click on it once to make it pink. And then just click on create, and you'll see here you have forms and reports. And then if you go here, you will see this one that just says form is a auto form, and this one that just says report, this is your auto report. So when I click on form, just like that, it will create a form for me. So this is the way you can look at each entry or each record at one time. And then here at the bottom, you will notice that you can go through all your records by clicking on this arrow, if that is what you'd like to do. If you like the way it looks, then you just close it. And I'm just going to say yes. And I'm going to say auto form. And the exact same thing is going to happen for report. So items must just be selected. Then you click on create and you will say report. And here you have your auto report. Just notice that it is not going to print properly anyway because it's paper size and whatnot. But you guys are not printing your exams, definitely not. So doesn't matter. But if you wish to change it a little bit, you could. You could change this page to landscape, and it will probably look better. You can actually spend some time on here as well, and you can actually decrease the size of certain columns and things like that. You don't have to do that for this module, but just noting that you can. If you like it, you just close it and you say yes to save it, and I will save it as auto report, just like that. And that is this first class participation, which is actually question 4 in an old exam. And this all that we've done since Tuesday counts a total of 25 marks. So if you are able to do all of this in an exam, you will be able to get 25 marks for it. Okay, do you guys have any questions about access? I'm just going to stop recording.